felt really like, you know, it might sound cheesy, but connected to her, things she was going through, and especially in the moment where she's that desperate. So.
Yeah. And David, you said there was to me that there was a moment during the making where you felt like a director for the first time. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's a moment where it was the end of a very long day with Ellen, and she had a scene where that was really, really emotional. And she gave a great performance, but I wanted more. And so I asked the crew to leave the set, and we stayed together, and we talked for 20 minutes or 30 minutes together, just sitting on the floor and talking about the character and talking about different things. And at one point, Ellen stood up and she said, "Okay, I'm ready, and let's shoot." And everybody came back and we shot. It was for me, it's one of the best takes of the entire game. And for the first time, I got the feeling that I was useful to something on set, and that I did my job as a director. But no, working with Ellen has been amazing, and with these chaps. And with them, of course. Ellen has done an amazing job because she had many of these very emotional and challenging scenes, and we were jumping very quickly from one emotional state to another, and doing this is very challenging. It's just been fantastic.
David, can you talk for a minute, you mentioned Willem Dafoe, and can you talk for a minute about his role, and also a bit about some of the gameplay mechanics that you use to control him?
So we don't control Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is a scientist who meets Jodie when she's 8, and he becomes like a second father to her. And they have a very strong relationship that will last 15 years.
Well, you do control Aiden.
You control Aiden. Actually, in the game, you control Jodie, and at any point you can press a button and switch to this entity. And now you control the entity, and you can fly around, you're invisible, you can go through walls, you can interact with matter in different ways. And all the idea is that you need to make these two characters collaborate. And in different scenes, you may want an entity that is very nice to Jodie, or you may decide that the entity should behave differently to her, which will change the story.
What did you think about this entity as you were filming? I mean, are you generally a fan of horror stories or not?
Horror?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not, sort of. It can't be too scary for me, because then I will have bad dreams. I'm a bit of a wuss with stuff like that, which is funny because I make movies, and like I could just be like, Ellen, there's a boom over that person's head, but I'm not very good at that. What did I think of the entity? I mean, that was one of the, it's one of the fascinating, beautiful parts of the story, and obviously I know in greater detail than anyone else can know about the entity, and it's. So I'm going to leave it at that. So it's it's hard to talk about because of that. But as an actor, it's interesting because you're communicating with something that there's seeing. It's okay to say these things. So there's scenes where she is having long conversations with this thing that you can't see and you can't hear the responses. So I'm just talking to thin air and. Sort of like in this scene you saw where she's trying to kill herself, and Aiden's preventing it. And so stuff like that was obviously a challenge. You're sort of working with no response, but sometimes having a full-blown conversation.
And it's interesting because when I played it, the interesting things you do to try to control Aiden, the entity, is that you have to move these dots together to use his force to push your enemy away or move through a wall or something like that. And I think it's key for people to know that there's some cool gameplay mechanics involved.
Oh yeah, sometimes when we talk about storytelling in games, people think that, it's going to be a long movie and I'm going to press one button every 20 minutes and that's going to be very boring. And actually it's not the case. The game is fully interactive. So everything you saw here, and most people who saw it, it's very difficult to understand when you play and when you watch, but actually you play all the time. everything is pretty much interactive. So that was absolutely essential to us. I would like also to mention the fact that although there is an entity, it's not a horror game or paranormal. It's not really the theme behind the game. It's really about people. And yes, there is this paranormal element, but it's not about that. It's not the
I guess
topic.
I'm a wuss because I was scared. So we're going to soon open this up to questions from the audience. But first, I mean, kind of a serious question, David. The world of video games, it's always changed, but it's in a kind of interesting changing mode now due to games that are free to play on Facebook and iPad and iPhone games that are fairly inexpensive as well. And knowing that, can you explain why Beyond Two Souls is worth the price of admission as a console?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. As you said, we live in a world where you can find very cheap games, but I think there are very different experiences. So with Beyond, we try to create an extraordinary experience, in all possible ways. We got extraordinary talents. We try to create something that is really strong, that is visually as appealing as possible. And this is not the kind of experience that you can find on a tablet or an iPhone. So I think the same way television didn't kill theaters, although most television is free, people still go to theaters to watch films because it's a different experience. I think we will still see the two models working together, console games and free or cheaper games.
So now, folks, if you would like to make your way forward, we will let you ask some questions of this esteemed panel.
Even more interesting or appealing or just beautiful. So it's something very, very important. We start working very early on. The more it goes, the more we work with film composers. We worked in the past with a composer called Norman Corbell. He was a Canadian composer. He worked on the music of Heavy Rain. He was an amazing composer. Unfortunately, he died a couple of months ago. He was supposed to work on Beyond. It was not possible. But yeah, we work with these composers. They are incredibly talented, and they bring an emotional dimension to the experience that is absolutely essential to me.
Mr. Go on.